Live and direct from anywhere in the world, it's The Kelley Show with Dr. Kelley Mondesiré.
Hello and welcome to The Kelley Show, real people with real stories in real time. And I am your host, Dr. Kelley Mondesiré. And today we are kicking off the month of July, which is the month of travel, adventure, and daredevils. And today's guest is the real Clark Kent. He is businessman by day and daredevil after hours. So stay tuned because you're not going to want to miss this conversation. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor.
This portion of The Kelley Show is being brought to you by White Wolf Advisory Services. We are the bridge between nations, creating growth, commerce and collaboration between cultures. Contact us today for more information.
And welcome back to The Kelley Show, real people with real stories in real time. And as I just mentioned before the break, today I've got the real and true Clark Kent. He is businessman by day, CEO of a major international organization. However, when the suit comes off, the real suit goes on. I want to welcome to The Kelley Show my friend, colleague, and wow, the daredevil himself, Mr. Allan Mulrooney. Allan, welcome to The Kelley Show. How are you?
Hi, Kelley. How you doing? Lovely to be here.
I'm doing great, and I am so honored that you took the time to be a guest on The Kelley Show today, because I'll tell you, you are one of the busiest people I know. And just before we came on camera, you said you had salt water still running out of your nose, because where are you from and where are you now and where did you just come from 45 minutes ago? Do tell.
Well, the first thing to say is I've certainly never been called Clark Kent before. Many other things, but certainly never Clark Kent. So I'll thank you for that.
You're welcome.
My name is Allan Mulrooney. I'm based on the west coast of Ireland, a beautiful little town called Sligo, and in particular a very small surf village called Strandhill in County Sligo. It's a surf community, a surf village, and what you were referring to was I managed to, it's the evening time here, I managed to get a beautiful surf in summer sunshine and rain in the last couple of hours and raced back here to my laptop to make sure I was ready to discuss life with you.
Well, you go from business suit to wetsuit. So let's go to a few photos and tell us, how long have you been surfing and how did you get into surfing? And tell the audience where you have been in the world with that surfboard. And Gareth, let's start putting up some of these great photos we have. Look at this. Look at you.
I'm based in Sligo on the west coast, and it is a beautiful little surf town. I grew up surfing probably at 10 or 11 with most of my friends at that time. Lots of little kids at that stage are into football, soccer, Gaelic, which is Irish football here. Surfing was very much my focus, or our focus, and the idea and the dream was to make the Irish surf team at the time. So by about 14, most of us we managed to make the Irish team. And for me, that opened up my eyes to travel. So going to places as close as the UK and as far as South Africa by the time I was kind of 13, 14, 15, competing in the European Championships and competing in the World Games. And what that did, I suppose, it inspired me to continue to travel. That particular photo is Fiji, and it's not just in Fiji; it's in Fiji. And then I took a 24-hour ferry to find a wave that I had spotted on a map. And spotted this beautiful wave, and I stayed there for a few weeks and surfed this almost empty, just me, in this pristine, beautiful ocean.
Wow, that is amazing! Wow.
So we're very lucky in that I've spent quite a lot of time traveling Costa Rica, South America, Mexico, certainly different both sides of the states looking for waves. Hawaii, Indonesia, Philippines, Australia, New Zealand. Lots of places where there's waves. I've managed to get there with a couple of surfboards and a bag on my back at some stage over the last 20 years or so.
Well, I have to say, the photo that we have up now with you, surfboard in hand, I don't know. I mean, that is a photo for a brochure, certainly. But the look on your face is either you're exhausted because you had such a great time, or maybe the wave won the day? Or tell us about this photo. Where was this? And do you remember when this photo was taken? What was on your mind at the
Well,
time?
first of all, I think you're right. I think that was actually for I didn't know at the time because the photographer was hiding in the rocks. It was taken at my local home break in Strandhill, and it was used in some degree of a Fáilte Ireland advert, I think. I'm pretty sure I'm looking down to make sure I don't slip on the rocks and fall on my backside. I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
Oh my God. And where is the photo on the right taken, and how high is this wave?
That's taken up the coast about 40 minutes from where I live. So based in Sligo, like I said, but if you go 40 minutes north or 40 minutes south, there's some of the best waves in the world. And it's certainly something that maybe over the last 5 or 10 years, surfing has grown in popularity, both in Ireland and globally. But because our weather is so cold, and we tend to wear very thick wetsuits, gloves, headsets, and we look like seals for most of the winter, surfing didn't really take off globally until probably the 90s. In that people knew what was happening. The wave on the right is a wave called Iski, and it's 40 minutes up the coast from me. A beautiful wave in a lovely little kind of discreet part of Ireland. I think that was September time, so still relatively warm. The best time of year to surf here is September. It's not too cold. It's still bright enough for most of the evenings, and you still get away with a wetsuit that doesn't make you look like a full seal.
Wow. And how high is that wave approximately? Do you know?
I mean, that's a probably 4 or 5 foot wave, so not that big. I mean, compared to what we see now in Ireland, and that's I suppose, the interesting part about talking about surfing is I have to be very mindful of my own abilities. I've grown up surfing, but the surfing scene in Ireland, and particularly the big wave surfing scene in Ireland, has just exploded in the last 10 years. And I've been somewhat close with, because lots of my friends have been pioneering and pushing boundaries. And I've either been sitting on a jet ski or sitting in my car pretty safe watching from the cliffs. But these guys are pushing boundaries with waves that are 40, 50, 60 feet. Some of the biggest waves in the world. There's a big wave spot called Mullockmore, about 25 minutes from where I'm sitting today. And it is one of the most dangerous, high-octane, crazy big wave spots in the world. Right up there with Jaws and some of the big wave spots in the world that we've had the best big wave surfers travel to spend time with the local surf community, who are known for being very welcoming as a surf community, very safety conscious as a surf community, and also for pushing boundaries. So when you ask me how big that wave was, I'm conscious that somebody I know who surfs might see me surfing what we would consider a daily surf, 4 to 6 foot, when they're pushing boundaries on 60 feet.
Wow. I met you a little over a year ago when you were visiting New York. And when you told me that you were surfing in Ireland, I looked at you and I said, wow, I had no idea, surfing was a thing in Ireland. And, we've ensued conversations about activities, outdoor activities, and what to do in the Western region of Ireland. And before we get to what you do in a suit and tie, let's just talk about some of the different wonderful adventure holidays one could expect to have in the Western region of Ireland, aside from, okay, we know horses are a big thing in Ireland, and of course now surfing, but do tell, what else can a person expect to experience in the beautiful Western region of Ireland?
I think the more I traveled over the last 20 years, the more I've realized just how beautiful the west of Ireland is. You go to the most remote parts of Indonesia and realize you've been on a bus or a motorbike for 20 hours, and you get there, and yes, it's beautiful and it's stunning, but there are just as stunning and beautiful places along the west coast. So adventure tourism, both slow and fast, have exploded in Ireland. One of the best branding exercises globally, I would think, that ever took place is what's called the Wild Atlantic Way. So they took Fáilte Ireland, which is our government agency for tourism, took what was already there across the whole west of Ireland and turned it into what they call the Wild Atlantic Way. And it was already there, it was a branding exercise, but it gave them a sales pitch that just exploded. And from that, you get everything from hikers, bikers, walkers, and there's been a huge amount of investment in walking trails, in hiking trails over the last certainly 5 to 8 years across the whole west of Ireland. You're right in terms of horses. Lots of people coming here to do trails. Lots of people coming here now to cycle the whole Wild Atlantic Way. So they might land in Northern Ireland, cycle all the way to Cork, and take 3 to 4 weeks to do it. In fact, I met quite a large group of motorbikers from France this morning on my drive, who were driving the whole Wild Atlantic Way, and they were going to take 6 weeks to do it, stopping along the way. And you know, while you're doing it and you're seeing these beautiful places, there's lots of good Guinness to try as you're up and down the coast as well. So that's really important.
Well, you know, the last time I was in Ireland, I was driving, you know, a car, and of course, you know, driving a stick. And here in the States, we drive on the right side of the road, and your stick is here. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the gears. And in Ireland, you're on the left-hand side of the road, and you would think the stick would be on the right side, or if it's on the left side, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which would make sense, but it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 this way. And I can't tell you how many times I went to upshift and I actually downshifted, and my head was like, you know, like this. But, you know, when I saw people on motorbikes, because I still ride, I thought, oh, this would be a great place to ride a motorcycle. But I thought to myself, well, you know, if I ever did that, I'd want to be in a group and in the middle, because I don't want to be the one, because I'm the wrong side of the road on a motorcycle. But, you know, that's one of my fantasy trips to do, to ride.
We'll have to make that happen.
Yeah, well, you know, it is, because I've been talking to Michael Lennon, who has a resort down there, and also is breeding Irish hunting and sporting horses. I said to him, I've always had this fantasy, like in the Quiet Man film, where they're racing the horses, you know, along the water. I'd like to do that, and then I'd really get on some real horsepower on a motorcycle and do some riding through Ireland. But anyways, I digress. But you're getting out of the wetsuit, and now you're putting on the business suit. So would you tell our viewers what your day job is, please?
Yeah, I suppose it's a life of two sides, and I'm trying my best to marry them both. And as anybody in business knows, sometimes one takes over the other. But I'm doing a bit better at the moment. So my day job is, I am the CEO of an organization called the Western Development Commission. So it's an economic and social development agency focused on the west of Ireland. It was 25 years old last year, so we're around quite a while. But it was created 25 years ago because, like all countries, there is always a region that has its challenges in terms of infrastructure, in terms of outward migration, in terms of brain drain, what we call it, you know, the youth leaving to go to Dublin, to go to London. So it was created 25 years ago. And in that time, we've made lots of progress. We've seen lots of changes, but it's still the most challenged region across Ireland. Even though the country is doing particularly well at the moment economically, it still has its challenges in terms of infrastructure. It still has its challenges in terms of our youth leaving and maybe not necessarily coming back. But post-COVID changed an awful lot of what we're doing. The want and the attraction to bring talent to the west and the northwest of Ireland for both foreign direct investment companies, for Irish indigenous companies that we support and invest in, has always been a challenge. But as you know, globally, during COVID or just after COVID, people reevaluated how they live their lives. So people not necessarily wanting to be stuck in traffic anymore, not necessarily want to be in a city anymore, and reevaluating what happens before work, after work, on weekends, how much time they get to spend with family. That changed the game for us as an organization, but equally as a region, and all the stakeholders who are trying to progress and make it a better place, because now lots of people want to come and they want to live here, which is interesting.
True. And aside from the weather, I mean, it is a lovely, lovely country and very welcoming. We're going to put up a slide that we have that you've provided for us. Now, as we talk a little bit more about the WDC, the Western Development Commission, could you tell us what's going on in these photos? And aside from telling us about why you were in Rockefeller Center on the left and what the National Hub Summit was, could you tell our viewers what some of the industries are in the Western region of Ireland that are coming out with different technologies, cutting edge technologies and the investment opportunities that are available to entrepreneurs and companies that would want to have a wonderful quality of life and live in a beautiful part of the world. I'll leave the stage to you.
Of course. Predominantly 25 years ago when the organization started, agriculture was a big part of the West and the Northwest. That hasn't necessarily gone away, but it's certainly changed. And if you take Galway, for example, we have an investment fund that started off relatively small, but it's an evergreen fund. It's now progressed and it's multiplied 3 times over. We take an equity stake in companies that are looking to scale and grow, add value. We look for 2 things. We look for our money back eventually, but oftentimes that can take 8 years, 10 years, 15 years, and sometimes a little bit longer. But almost more important, we're looking for an economic impact back into the region. So we're looking for jobs. We're looking for added value back into the West and Northwest. The medtech hub that has been created now in Galway, for example, is one of the biggest medtech hubs in the world. So almost all of the biggest medtech companies in the world are now have some degree of a base in Galway in the west of Ireland. So that's certainly been a game changer. And off the back of that, you obviously get lots of spin outs in terms of agri-tech. You get lots of new name investments that are coming out, people leaving companies. And then from there, we have a huge focus on the creative economy. And the creative economy obviously now bleeds into everything from AI, digital gaming, TV, animation. So there's lots of that happening as well. And then as you move up and down the region from Galway, as far as Donegal, you find different pockets of different types of organization. But certainly pharma and medtech you would see an awful lot of. And there's a mix now of both indigenous companies, to which we invest in, and then lots of FDI, so foreign direct investment. Our inward investment agency called IDA Ireland, I would believe, is probably the best in the world at doing what they do. And they've attracted a huge number of Americans, in particular American corporations, for 65, 70 years that have come here looking for 2 things, looking for an educated workforce, a sticky workforce that'll work for them, but also a base and a link into Europe. All those companies would still have their base in the US. They would still hire people in the US. So it's not necessarily at all a negative, but they need a base into Europe and they need a way to sell into Europe. English speaking, highly educated, and that link into Europe, and also a very stable economy in terms of our government. It tends to be quite centrist, so we don't necessarily have those wobbles that we're seeing around the world at the moment.
How true. The Republic of Ireland is a wonderful stepping stone or a base, home base for the continent, no doubt. Now, I know you travel, home is where your socks are, basically, but tell us, what were you doing in Rockefeller Center? It looks like you have your Irish green tie.
Always. Yep. Yes. I always pack about 6 or 7 or 8 green ties and green handkerchiefs on those trips, and little badges as well. I think it's important. So I took over as CEO almost 2 years ago. And one of the key focus areas I wanted to look at was the opportunity for the West and the Northwest to link back to the Irish abroad and the diaspora. And by the diaspora, I mean first generation, second generation, or generally anybody who has an affiliation to Ireland and what's happening here. And I've gone out on a number of trips. The first one, I know we met and you were very useful in terms of linking me up with some of the key people, both, I suppose, those Irish abroad that live there, but equally some of the Americans that have affiliation, grandparents and others. So on all of the trips over there, it's been about building connections, building investment opportunities. And almost everybody I've met has said something very simple and honest. What can I do to help, to add value? And that's not necessarily asking for financial investments. They may need to join a board. They may need to give some advice. Lots of the Irish abroad, the diaspora, are now experts, global experts, sitting in some of the biggest companies in the world, in the US, but also globally. Meeting them and the opportunities to feed back into early stage startups, to our hub community, to our communities on the ground, to social enterprises. So we're busy building those links now as part of our strategy. And I would certainly hope we'll have something very tangible in the next probably 12 to 16 months that we'll be able to shout a little bit louder about.
Oh, I'm sure you will. I'm certain you will. And we have another slide we'd like to put up, another duo. Here, talk to us about this 5-year strategy that's just come to fruition. I know you're very excited about it. Who are the people in this photo and what's going on?
So one of, I suppose, the key focus areas when I took over as CEO was to try and reimagine the organization and also reimagine the region now going forward, because it's a changed world in post-COVID world, and also it's a very challenging world. So we set to work on writing a new 5-year strategy. And you and anybody who's lived and worked in strategies, it's only as good as the action behind it. But we spent an awful lot of time up and down the region dealing with stakeholders. We had about 250 key stakeholders who met us through events and workshops and one-to-ones to really understand. And what's really important is the question we asked wasn't, what does the WDC need? Is what does the region need? What does the West and the Northwest of Ireland now need and into the future for the next 5 years? So we've created what I would consider a very comprehensive document. And there's both a short and a long version on our website. The short can be easier to digest, and the long one has lots of actions and key areas of focus for all of our teams for the organization. We launched it just a couple of weeks ago. So beside me is our Minister of State. His name is Minister Darragh Cleary. And we're very lucky because he's actually from the region. And as you know, all politics is local. Very astute gentleman and very focused on rural development. So our department we report back into is the Department of Rural Community Development and the Gaeltacht, which has just been added to it as a department. The lady in the beautiful green dress is one of our board members, Sandra, and the gentleman on the right is our chairman, Eugene. So working very closely with the board, with our Minister of State, with our department to launch a strategy. That particular headline came from RTE News, which is our national news. They focused on the 5,000 jobs, but there was lots of key metrics, including €50 million investment that we're planning to spend over the next 5 years and invest in communities, in organizations, in new name companies, and in scaling companies across the region.
Wonderful, brilliant. Well, we met while I was still in New York City, and I have to say that was a whirlwind. 24 hours, we were, good grief. I think I picked you up at your hotel at 5:30 in the morning. We were up at the mayor's office for breakfast, down to St. Patrick's Cathedral for Mass, back up for the parade, and I got a colleague to bring you over to the Yale Club. We had the parade, mega parties. I forgot we went to the consulate in between.
We did.
That was a lot of fun, but I've moved down to the Savannah area since then, and I've been massaging the area and working it, because when you're settled, I'm bringing it in here. And it's funny, Dara was at the St. Patrick's Day parade this past year in Savannah, and I actually marched with the Scots who adopted me for the day, cousins. But I hope that next St. Patrick's Day, I think you'll be coming down to Savannah and joining us in the community. And they have trade bridge with the eastern region of Ireland, but it's now time for them to do the same for the western region of Ireland. But we're going to take a break for a word from our sponsor. We'll be right back with Allan Mulrooney, the real Clark Kent, I have to tell you. Truly, gets off the board, showers, and throws a jacket on, and here he is for the interview. So we'll be right back, people, with more from Allan Mulrooney. Stay tuned.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Many Purple Hats, MPH, Vroom! Get noticed online. Stand out from the crowd. Differentiate yourself from all that white noise. Vroom!
And welcome back to The Kelley Show, real people with real stories in real time, as I continue my conversation with Allan Mulrooney, the CEO of the Western Development Commission. And I have to say it again, he is the real Clark Kent. He goes from the wetsuit to the business suit. So Allan, getting back to the conversation, what's next for Allan Mulrooney? You're going to keep surfing till the day you can't surf anymore? You're going to go to the surfboard in the sky? Like, what's next for you? What's next for Western Development Commission? What sites do you have going forward?
Well, I'm going to think what's next for this evening is if my kids go to sleep on time and it stays bright till 11 o'clock, because we're very lucky this time of year in Ireland. I'm hoping to surf again this evening. So that's certainly what's next coming up. But as far as the Western Development Commission is concerned, the strategy launch was a really fantastic milestone. Now that it's live, all of the teams are working really closely together to hit the targets, to hit the KPIs. I think what's really important for the viewers of your show is to understand and realize that the West of Ireland is rich culturally in heritage, but also it's thinking about what that looks like for the future. So if you're thinking about coming here and you want to understand what it's like to live here, we've actually got a beautiful TV show called Moving West. It's on TG Car, which is our national broadcast channel, but you can find it online if you Google Moving West, West of Ireland, WDC, and we're on season 4. We're just going into production, and for that we film and follow the stories of those people that have moved to the West of Ireland, and we try to capture those that are working in remote roles, that are working for large-scale FDI, foreign direct investment companies, or some of our startup indigenous. So we're going to focus on continuing to tell that story, putting the best foot forward for the region. AI is obviously a big focus for everyone right now, and it's moving at the speed of light, but we're very focused on making sure we're investing and supporting in the companies that are based here to grow and scale at the same level. And it's a big focus for Europe at the moment, Europe almost versus US, and I don't think it should be that way. We should be working closer together, but Europe needs to catch up, Ireland needs to catch up, and the West of Ireland is going to catch up. So we're going to invest certainly some of the 50 million that we're investing as part of the strategy into some of those new name companies, scaling companies. We're also drawing down quite a lot of EU funding, which allows us to test new ideas, test new projects, and AI will be part of that, but equally female entrepreneurship, looking at the opportunities for the region in things like the circular economy. So lots going on in that space for the next 5 years. So looking forward to seeing that grow. And in the diaspora piece, I really believe there's an opportunity for us to link with the Irish abroad, the diaspora, for those that are across communities in America and globally, but certainly the States is always going to be first and foremost, to seek out the opportunities of how we can work closer together. Not necessarily just for export, because that's happening at scale already. Ireland is I believe, the 9th biggest investor into the US now. So it's a two-way streak in terms of what's happening. We've got lots of companies that are setting up shop and employing thousands of people across America, but on a community to community and on a small micro business to micro business and on a storytelling element. There's much more I believe we could be doing and should be doing. So looking forward to getting stuck into some of that.
Well, I'll be over to the motherland in spring of 2026. And, my grandmother was from County Mayo, Swinford. So I'll be swinging by your neighborhood to visit you and a few other folks. And I love to watch surfing. I think it's a phenomenal sport, and I admire and respect those that participate in surfing. It's quite strenuous, I would think. And
so we're going to have to get also motorbikes with surfboards on the side and go to Mayo. That's the plan. So is it?
Oh, maybe find me a guy to do the surfing part, and I'll do the motorbiking part.
we have some really good staff in Mayo, and actually the gentleman Stephen, who runs our Connected Hubs project, which links all of the hub network across the country, started in the West and now has almost 400 co-working spaces and hubs, and it's very much focused on digitization and AI. He's based in Mayo and is a history buff and is a buff of US and Irish history. So he would certainly be someone I'd look forward to introducing you to for a cup of coffee or a nice creamy pint of Guinness in Mayo when you get here.
Oh, that would be great, because I'd like to delve into my Irish roots a bit more.
You can help you with that. Absolutely.
Yeah, and since home is where my socks are, I could stay quite a while and do the show from the motherland. That's for certain. But I want to stress to the viewers that Ireland is a beautiful country. The people are highly educated, warm, welcoming. We love to sing and dance and have a good time, but also very serious individuals as well. We're great business people. And I encourage everyone to go stay, play, and seriously think about investing in Western Ireland because it is quite a lovely region of the world. And Allan, we have a tradition here on the Kelley Show that we ask all our guests if you can name one person, place, thing, or experience that you are thankful or grateful for, who or what would it be? Do tell.
I have to look back at where my journey started in terms of building communities, working with communities and understanding it. One of my first trips to Indonesia on a surf trip, I got really badly injured, hurt my leg, ended up in hospital in Bali, then ended up in hospital in Singapore, and got flown home for some support. One of those things that seemed like an incredibly bad issue, but what it did do was it allowed me to rethink about going back out the following year to Indonesia and raising some money to support those that had helped me. And we did that I did that with two friends, and it subsequently resulted in us setting up a charity called the Strandhill Indonesian Relief Fund. And I'm going back quite a while in my life, but there's a reason for it. And from that, we created events, we brought community together for about 5 years. And over 5 years, we built 5 schools in Indonesia using money we raised in Strandhill in Sligo. And for me, it opened up my eyes to the power of community, the power of doing something that's meaningful, but also the idea of media, of social media, of storytelling, and how you can link different people in the world to do something really promising. And that always comes back to me in terms of how I've ended up where I am. So I'm very thankful for the first trip where I nearly lost a leg in Indonesia and where it led me to in terms of my career.
Wow, well said. Wow, that's amazing. I did not know that. Well, Allan, thank you. Thank you very much for taking time out from the waves and from your busy life and your family. And thank you for introducing me to your beautiful little doggy. But seriously, folks, if you would like to reach out to Mr. Allan Mulrooney, we have his contact information up for you. We'll put it up. Here you go. He is the CEO of the Western Development Commission. Now, reach out to Allan in terms of if you'd like more information about life, living, activities, adventures in the Western region of Ireland, but also about investment opportunities and doing business bi-coastally. The United States, Ireland, South America, Ireland. This is a global show. So Ireland is everywhere. The Irish are everywhere. Reach out to Allan and shoot him a text, whatever it is, ask him, he will get back to you. So Allan, I want to thank you again for your time. Be careful on those waves. I'll see you soon. If I don't see you in Savannah in March, I'll definitely see you later on in the spring in the Western region of Ireland, because I'm going to go and see Swinford, and that is where my grandmother came from. So for sure, we'll hook up. Say hello to your lovely wife for me. She's just a beautiful lady and a very nice person. So thanks again, Allan. And if you would like to be on a future Kelley show, please do write into us today. We have the contact information here. Looky. Write into us with your name, who you are, what your story is, but more importantly, why you would like to tell your story here on The Kelley Show. And don't forget to subscribe today to The Kelley Show. Share this show, this conversation with me and Allan Mulrooney with your friends. If you are Irish, share it with your Irish communities. If you are a business person, do consider doing business in Ireland, especially the Western region of Ireland. You will not be disappointed. So stay tuned for the next Kelley Show, because we continue the month of daredevils, adventure, and travel. And who is it? Oh, I've got 2 guests coming on next week. Very, very special. And it's a secret. James Bond, move over. So stay tuned. We'll see you then. Don't go away. Peace and love, all that. Gareth, take it away.
If you would like to be a guest on The Kelley Show, send us an email with your contact information, where in the world you are, and a brief description of the story you'd like to share today.